Hello everyone, welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology, and this is your astrological transits, or these will be, I'll show you with these charts, the astrological transits for the week of February, can't seem to say that word, February 19th to the 25th, 2023, of course. The moon is starting out in Aquarius, but then by Sunday night around 11 p.m. Pacific, we have the new moon in Pisces. So we could have some, good dreams, good guidance coming through with dreams. And then later on, we have Venus moving into Aries. So I have a separate chart for that as well. And then, the moon's going to go throughout the week. It'll go Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and then end the week in Taurus. So let me swap out cameras here and I'll be right back. Okay, so just like I thought last week, we are experiencing the news dumps. And that's continuing on into this week as well. So we have Mercury in Aquarius, so Mercury brings in the news, and the Aquarian energy. Well, Mercury is trying to articulate and trying to analyze, right? And Aquarius rules the internet and the news and everything. Well, Mercury rules the news and Uranus, and Aquarius connects all the people together. So I think we have a lot of news. I have a feeling because of this, in this last almost all week, it lasts through Friday, this Mercury squaring Uranus, which is why I colored it in ahead of time. I think it goes through Friday, and then, but today we have the moon and Uranus together. Yeah, so, and the moon has crossed over Mercury, so it's picking up, it's stronger than ever. We're in that tension field with the square, which connects to the public and us knowing more than we knew last week, So last week it seemed like was I don't know what the right word might be, like a trigger point where everything just kind of goes. And this coming up week, I think that we will be analyzing and pulling the facts together even more than we were before. Like things are coming together, even though we don't have everything yet. We're not getting all of the facts, but we're not getting all of the justice politically yet. But the facts are coming out, things are moving, things are coming together. And this, this Pluto sesquisquare Mars this is the last day for it, because Mars moves forward enough to get out of orb. So the stubborn holding on of the plans and the actions that needed to happen, actions being Mars, and the people in power, holding on to the plans that need to go, it's moving. This is the last day. So I don't know if it's going to be a breather day for you guys, or a day where you're catching up on the news that you couldn't focus in on during the week, when you're working. But then again, it's picking up. I mean, I'm reading this on Thursday, the Thursday before this Sunday, and it's already out there. Things are going. We're getting to hear from Biden as to why he took the balloon out, and then all these other balloons coming in. It's like, I think, did the right thing. But, there's the discerning all those facts there and bringing it together. So just remember, the moon rules the public. Okay, the public and the people, with it being in Aquarius, and with this trine down to Mars here, we're seeing in the double trine, Mercury and the moon. That's a lot when it comes to news for the people and information going out with Mars in Gemini. So you know, on some level, it's, you know, it's good to hold on to your hats. On another level, it could be an enormous amount of information coming out, but I think we can handle it. Now, another aspect that lasts all week, besides the, you know, Mercury squaring Uranus, just remember, Uranus is going to wake us up to the facts. Mercury's bringing in more and more information, and then we get to figure out with Aquarius, with Mercury in Aquarius, like, how are we going to analyze what's coming out, and are we going to be, you know, thinking outside the box and not pigeonholing information, or trying to just see, this is the problem when it comes to information. Sometimes people, oh shoot, hold on, I have to change my battery. I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. So sometimes with Aquarian energy, we want to just pick the pieces of information that we think are right and glom onto that, and then we think we have enough. And sometimes we do, but other times there's a lot more that follows, you know, we follow up, things come through. Like, for instance, like, we knew, here's just one good piece of information I can tell you. We knew, well, I believe anyway, we knew that Russia interfered in our elections, in the 2016 election. We had the Mueller report. He said it was ongoing and had been going on and still going on. And then, you know, we have this war in Ukraine. Well, now this, you know, Putin's chef, Prigozhin, he's called the Wagner chief. He admitted, so CNN put out a report, and I have to thank my friend over at Camp Foolish for sending me the article. He admitted to founding the Internet Research Agency, you know, the IRA, and founding this, you know, like, Russian troll farm, which was the IRA, the Internet Research Agency. And that troll farm, of course, was, you know, we did put sanctions on them for meddling in our election. But he finally comes through and he finally comes through and admits it. So that's what I'm saying about, you know, with Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus over here squaring the moon and Mercury. There's pieces that are finally, like, coming together, you know, because we have connections, right? So there you go. That's just one little thing. Now, in your personal life, Mercury and the moon in Aquarius is great for thinking outside the box, and especially with the moon moving towards Saturn, there can be some way that you can create new form because you finally are getting to see the big picture, and especially because Neptune and Venus in Pisces is showing us the big picture. Now, sometimes on another level, you know, breaking out of the box with Uranus over here, right? But sometimes on another level, we could have had a relationship issue that didn't really work out, and now we're seeing, as Venus starts to move away, you know, in Pisces. So, and you have to remember, Venus is we're going to connect all together up in here with Aries. There's going to be a stellium in Aries before long. So, yeah. On one level, I hope that it's some unification of people finding their, you know, having their unity within, knowing that they are a spiritual being and that problems and issues are temporary, and we should always, you know, be willing to move on. If things aren't working out in a relationship, if you're not being honored and respected. And that's especially true. I'm bringing this up because notice how Pluto is in that sextile to Venus. They're both at the anaretic degree, 29 degrees, you know, which if you have enough wisdom and you're seeing clearly your own relationship issues inside, your own relationship patterns, because you can see the big picture with Pisces, and you can also rise above it, and then you can see the power dynamics. If the power dynamics aren't equal, if they're not fair, if you're not being fairly treated, then things will break away, especially when Venus moves into Aries. So, this is, and Venus moves enough away this week. I think this aspect is just in for a few days. I think until Wednesday. We'll see when we get there. But, it's important at that powerful 29th degree that you are seeing clearly all of your relationship dynamics. That's the reason the transit comes through every so often, right? Yeah, because Venus will take about a year or so. It stays in one sign for usually a couple of months, but we had that long retrograde with Venus, like we're having with Mars. So, and we won't have that retrogradation for Venus again until about June or so. I think it's June or July. Yeah, it's June. I remember it's June. And it won't retrograde until it's in Leo. So, it's going to make it all the way. Quite some way. It moves pretty quickly, right? So, yeah. So more issues with Venus have to do with, besides relationships, it's our self-worth, right? Venus in Pisces at this ripe degree, at the nth degree, should bring through our self-worth issues that we can heal. In Pisces energy, we can just let them dissolve, right? And especially with that little sojourn that Neptune, or I'm sorry, that Venus had crossing over Neptune. And they're still, just 5 degrees apart, but Venus is moving pretty quickly. Let's see, what else? So yeah, back to Venus. We're talking self-worth, money. Venus rules Taurus, right, and Libra. So what you want to do is work on your self-worth, work on any abundance issues you might have, work on the things that you want. Maybe you want more beauty in your life. Maybe you want to bring in some flowers into your house, or plants, or, for me, it's like I'm always having to be careful with like bugs. Buy a plant at the store and it's got bugs in it, and then I'm dealing with gnats in my house. It's like, oh my God, right? But other than that, especially for those of us who are living in these winter locations, it's nice to have greenery. I'm so grateful for the pine trees outside, but everything else is not, the trees are, the deciduous trees are, they're very bare. Let's see, so what else for this, before I move on? Let's see, I think this Jupiter sextile Mars, is this all week long? I think so. Let me sneak back here to look at Saturday. No, it's actually not. Yeah, see, look, we have this Venus by the end of the week. We have the whole stellium by the end of the week. That's right. I forgot. I've been busy with so many other things. Yeah, that's happening. Venus is moving into Aries really soon, by Tuesday. So we need to take advantage of Venus in Pisces to the full, opportunity. So remember, again, Pisces has to do with art, has to do with music, has to do with, immigration, and sometimes like cultish type of trends, and sometimes addiction, and sometimes victim mentality. But for the most part, if you drop into your essence, if you meditate, if you use Neptune properly and go within and meditate and connect with who you are, that's where we can connect to states of bliss. That's where we can find our devotion. You have to get into yourself before you can connect. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. You can connect to the universe through the beauty of nature and each other in our relationships, but you're never going to feel completely connected into it all until you go within. There's that need to connect in within. rather than look out. And when you connect to it, connect to your source within, then there's so much more fullness, in the outer experience moving through life. So, yeah, that's a good thing to remember. And then, of course, you can see that the sun has moved into Pisces. Like it started, last Saturday, or the day before. And we went over that chart. And so even though Venus will quickly move into Aries, we still have the sun in Pisces. So the sun will always bring in more light of the sign that it's coming through. So we have an opportunity again to get into our art, and our anything that, and you guys know me, I have no judgment over what type of art. And I mean, it can be artistic just to take care of your home. But we do have more empathy and more compassion usually when the sun or the moon is in Pisces, and you'll see that the moon will quickly catch up to the sun. We will have the new moon tomorrow. So this is the perfect day. And when, once you get this video, once it's released, start working on your intentions for what you want to experience, what you want to create. And maybe it is just to start meditating if you never have before. There are so many apps nowadays, and myself, I like to just do it in silence, but whatever gets you to go in, whatever, it's that Saturnian making the commitment, that Saturn in Aquarius, that you want more. You want to get out of the box, right? And the only way to get out of the box is to get into yourself and find what you're, what's the framework of those walls, right? So so having more sensitivity as well. Pisces energy is very sensitive. You may find that you're more sensitive this month, and that's a good thing. It's okay to be vulnerable while you're also strong. There's a great strength in vulnerability, but what I have found over the years is that I tend to only allow myself to be vulnerable to the same degree that I'm actually strong, and the only strength I really have is with healthy boundaries. But that's in all relationships, that's like a leading edge. We have to find our boundaries in relationships with others, and that's a beautiful thing. So there might be some of that, especially as Saturn next month moves into Pisces, and then we'll have 2.5 years of exploring that Saturn in Pisces. So it should be great for artists and musicians, and it should be great for spirituality. Especially because, of course, at some point it'll catch up to Neptune, because Neptune's staying there for quite some time. But wonderful. So, if you were born with Saturn in Pisces, you will have your Saturn return, or maybe your second Saturn return if you're between 58 and 60. So either between 28 and 30 or 58 to 60. We all have our Saturn returns, and if we're fortunate enough to live to be about 90, we'll even have 3. So, and your Saturn return will always bring you closer into, how you are working in the world effectively, and what your healthy boundaries are. Remember, Saturn is always about boundaries, and then boundaries and form and construction, foundational experience. It's the hard work planet, all right? So with this, you can probably barely see it, but I'm noticing, so Saturn in Aquarius here, we have this little semi-square here. See that little tiny, over here to Chiron, right? So remember, Jupiter and Chiron, well, let's bring Jupiter into it just to talk about it for a moment, but I've been talking about it because it's been, happening. Jupiter is helping us to heal our deepest wounding and inner conflicts. And then now that we have this semi-square here to Saturn, there are tests. So you guys will be experiencing tests to see how well you're doing with healing any issues around your deepest inner conflicts. And it doesn't really matter what sign it's in. Chiron is transiting through your natal charts. Wherever you have wherever you have Aries, between right around 13 degrees, we've been going through it, right? Like I had it cross over my moon, and it actually was very healing rather than an issue. But that's just me at this point, at my older age. You know what I mean? But it goes slowly. Chiron, it takes 51 years to get all the way around the chart. So if you're having your first Chiron, well, most of it, we're lucky if we get two, but if your first Chiron return, if you're having that, you are, you're probably 50, 51, 49, you're in there and it's building, or you're 52 and you just had it and you're still, regrouping. Our Chiron return will bring in the ability to heal your deepest wounding. And in Aries, it would have to do with knowing that you are very unique and that you need to assert your unique individuality. And also, there could be some healing around abandonment issues. And most of all, though, needing, it's that positive self-assertion that Aries is so good with. Being very present with yourself and then putting yourself out there, even if it's, like I always say, one step forward and two steps back. You still find your way eventually, right? You still keep trying. Because remember that Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars moves, right? Even when it's retrograde. When it's retrograde, it moves inward, but it's always moving. So just think in those terms, like, which direction are you going? Is it the way you want to go? Are you doing little things every day, and are you shifting your attitudes if need be? And it's the little things that matter. Like if you're catching yourself thinking negative thoughts, do you stop and go, oh, hey, cancel that, don't need that, why am I doing that, right? And if it helps you get in touch with something like some anger or grief, or whatever it is, those are golden moments to feel the pain and go through it and heal. That's how we heal. So with back to the semi-square here, to Saturn, there will be actions that need to be taken. The semi-square is always about actions that need to be taken in order to heal and in order to move forward. So if you're still holding yourself back, you have to figure out why. And are you afraid of having positive feelings, or are you afraid of having a healthy, instinctual, especially in Aries, movement of your own essence out into the world or in your life? Maybe it's just personal in a relationship. So whatever it is for you, we have to work that through. Let's see what else I'm drawn to Aries here in this sextile that's up here to the moon. So the moon is bumping up against there. There's an opportunity to initiate your courage. Aries in Aries is about, again, everything I've said about Chiron, but having the courage. And Chiron's traveling close, to her, so more and more courage will be coming through, and the opportunities. So this is the beginning of a cycle where we go even more deeply into breaking ourselves out of the box. Remember, the moon needs to connect and needs to digest life, needs to, just think of your tummy. It's like if you're not digesting your food, you're having trouble in life, right? There's all types of things that our emotions are, they're our emotional body is in our connective tissue, but a lot of times when we're having a relationship issue, you'll notice that you're having tummy problems. Or if you're scared, you get the butterflies in your stomach, all of that. It's like they call it the second brain nowadays. So digestion and taking care of your, what they call the microbiome, is really, really, really important. We can't stuff things down, and we can't numb out if we're trying to heal. And we can't be going around in constant, anger without figuring out what the anger's from, right? Because anger is available life force. So it's important that we put it into the right, align with the right direction that we want to go. So let's see. You can see that Jupiter sextile. No, wait, that's actually Chiron. Oh, yeah. Well, it's moving. Mars is moving pretty quickly, but there's a lot going on with Chiron, isn't there? The sextile to Mars. Again, it's the same thing I was speaking to when I was talking about Chiron and Jupiter and the semi-square to Saturn. But it's, it's moving in the right direction. Now, with Gemini, with Mars and Gemini, we get to learn new things. So it could be that there's some information that comes through for you in meditation or dream time or doing the dishes or cleaning the house or laundry, whatever, when you're not thinking, or maybe when you're just driving and you're, autopilot kind of thing. And you get these little hits of like, oh, that's why I've been feeling this way. Or that's why I do these things that I don't need to do anymore. I used to do, or I'm breaking a habit, or that's why it's this belief that I've had, and then maybe you get clear, and especially with the moon in Aquarius, maybe you get really clear as to where the belief came from. A lot of people will connect into their past lives even, and realize that, oh, well, no wonder I've been doing that, because I had this belief that has been holding me back. And that is especially true when it comes to relationships. We have Venus here in the semi-square to Uranus, so there can be something breaking out, breaking out of the mold of your parental, conditioning. Like just because your parents did this, acted and treated each other a certain way, or one was not there and another one was there the wrong way, whatever the dynamics were in the family, it's very possible that there's some breaking free this week. But again, with the semi-square, actions will need to be taken on your part. It's not very empowering to just sit and let things, let other people kind of dictate your life, But if you have a fairly peaceful life and you're just in the flow, that's really cool too. But that's probably someone that with very where they've worked things out in past lives, and this lifetime might be an easier breather type of a life. And we do have those. Let's see, what else? I think that's about it. There's a lot about breaking of, I guess, to summarize the overview for this week. I would say that there's immense opportunity to break free from the past. And notice with the Sun trine the South Node, we're having this all week long as well. So, because see how we have 0 degrees here and 6 degrees here, so the Sun's going to keep going this way. So we're in that approaching phase, which is, the energy is building, and it's you'll feel it more strongly than the waxing, the waning, or the waning phase when it's gone. You feel the waxing more than the waning. The dissipation happens after the exact 6 degrees, but you still feel it a little bit. So in summary, I would say it's about breaking free from the past, but we're at the like epitome, the like a fever point of that situation that we've been in, because we've been working on this, right, for quite some time. And then you see we have the Pisces New Moon also on Sunday, but it doesn't come into almost about 11. This is interesting. It took me quite a little bit to get to the exact, and it's 11:04.44. So about 11:05 p.m. Pacific time. If you're still up, it'll be very dark out, and you can see the stars really well. But it'll be just a barely little sliver, probably. Well, it'll probably be pretty dark. I don't know if you'd even see it much, even at like, let's say, whenever it's dark at your house, like 8 o'clock or 6 or 7 or yeah. If you're here in Oregon, it's 5. No, I'm just kidding. It's about 6 now. It's getting better. So anyway, with this event of the Pisces New Moon, remember that even as you begin watching this video on either Thursday for my members or Friday for the rest of you, start your intentions now. The new moons are for planting intentions, and some astrologers are calling it a Pisces super new moon, which you won't be able to see it, so it won't seem super, but it might feel super to you, and that's really cool. And so notice how it's not only the sun joined with the south node, and remember the south node, let's do it this way. The south node in Scorpio is about the past, right? And with the moon and the sun together, it's a brand new beginning to bring the wisdom from the past forward into whatever you're trying to bring in, whatever it is that you want to create. You just, think of all of the things you've experienced, especially that Scorpio, in the past, and what do you want to bring forward based on that wisdom? And, set the dynamic up, set the plans, put the plans in motion inside of you, plant the seeds inside. And with Pisces, maybe you can get into it easier with some type of like a soak, like if you have a hot tub, or if you do like a, baking soda and sea salt. If it's baking soda, make sure you get the aluminum free type. You do like a box of baking soda and a couple of cups of sea salt, or you can use Epsom salt if you want. Soak in the tub, maybe throw some rose petals in, do whatever you want. Make it fun. And sit in the bathtub, or maybe it's a shower, and wherever, somewhere near the water, something to do with water can be, or maybe you put the intention into the water that you're going to drink for the day, like maybe you have a big jug and maybe you make some spa water, with cucumbers and oranges and mint and whatever you want in there. And then just keep your intention. Maybe you write it down with Mercury and Aquarius. You have your intentions written down for the things that you want to bring in this next month. And it's possible that by the next full moon, we start to see some action there. It's possible in the next couple of weeks we get to see something new. Or it could be that it's a long-term intention, and maybe in Pisces it's the culmination of everything you've been working on for quite some time, and maybe you want to bring all the wisdom from all your past lives forward into this lifetime. So set your intentions, and it doesn't really matter. Well, just know that wherever 1 degree Pisces is in your chart, in your natal chart, you'll be able to do the most effectiveness, I would say, or you would be able to accomplish the most. It would be the most effective area of your life. Like, let's say if it's a 6th house, it could be some health issues that get resolved, or work issues, or daily routines, things like that, or something with like small pets. There's that possibility. So, but whatever it's still Neptune and Pisces is somewhere in our charts all the time, and it's all connected. So, the important thing is that you set the intentions. So that's the best thing to do for a new moon. But now let's dissect this chart a litthis bit, because this is an event chart for the next couple of weeks. So with Mercury here, again, those messages to think outside the box, trining Mars to help you move forward. Also Mercury sextiling Chiron to help heal those deepest inner conflicts and then move forward in a whole new way. And then, of course, we have this Mercury square Uranus up here. And again, the tension field to help you break free. A lot of times we have to figure out where we're held in and boxed in before we can break free. That's what squares are for. And the other aspects are the same as I spoke about before for the weekly overview. You can see Venus is still semi-square Uranus. So again, back to the relationships and your self-worth and money and bringing more beauty into your life. Let's see. Saturn semi-square, yeah, the actions are going to need to be taken. But it's an act, to set your intentions and to do the inner work. It will always lead to the outer work or the outer. Just remember, it's always an inside job. You do the work inside and you start moving out in your life, and then the outer world starts mirroring back to you. Your inner reality. That's how it works. That is the key to the universe. Once you realize that, you can change anything in your life. And, even if it's like that last week before you die, even if it's like something on our deathbed, it changes the next lifetime. It's always about Aquarius, self-realization, waking up. And then from there, paradigms shift. But it's always an inside job. Let's see. Today, there was still that Pluto sextile Venus here. So again, the opportunities for empowerment, the opportunities to break through any type of, it's not an opposition, so it might not be the breakthrough, but it would be an easier opportunity. You wouldn't need a breakthrough because there's an easier moving away. You can see Venus is at 2957 there. And moving away from issues where people are trying to control you. Could be that. Okay, so now, Monday, it's still Sunday. It's still Sunday. 11:55, almost 56 p.m. Same thing, Pacific. But now Venus is in Aries. So now look at this stellium here. Right? So Venus in Aries would definitely be breaking free. Remember, Aries is going to be initiating something new, and hopefully you want win-win situations. But if you can't get that in the relationship that you're in, because Venus is very relational, or if you're not going to be able to get paid what you deserve in a job, you're probably going to be leaving soon. With this stellium, this lineup in Aries, things will be moving. Again, on the political sphere, we will be having massive news dumps. So other than that, you can see the aspects are the same. There's not really much more to talk about other than we still have the new moon and, Saturn's all, it's right there. They're all together. Even though there's a sign change with the sun and the moon, Saturn is right, it's at that nth degree as well. So let's keep going. This is just kind of a marker there. So Venus hits 0 degrees Aries late. Probably everyone will be sleeping, or maybe you'll be up celebrating it. I don't know. On Sunday. Okay, so Monday, just about 6 hours later, of course, the moon's still in Pisces. There's not a lot of change. Do I even see any change at all? No, probably didn't really need to run this chart. Venus is still sextile. We still have, yeah, no. I just wasted a piece of paper and some ink and my printer. Let's go to Tuesday. Because we still have, the moon in Pisces, right? And so let's talk about it when we get to Tuesday. So Monday could be more of an integration day, I'm thinking. But when Tuesday, the moon, is conjunct Neptune here. Okay. And we have the moon is also in a sesquisquare to the south node. So there might be a little bit of stubborn holding on to the past, but maybe it needs to be that way. Maybe you're fighting to hold on to your spiritual, it can happen this way. I've been through this so many times. You get guidance when you're meditating, right? And the moon in Neptune is definitely primo meditation and artistic energy. So you go inside, you get guidance, and maybe it's not the first time you've gotten the guidance, but you realize, oh, yeah, that's right. And there's something but you're still holding on to the past because you're afraid. There's some challenge in letting go. Scorpio doesn't let go until it feels safe. Scorpio doesn't let go until it's resolved the intimacy issue and the trust issue. And it can be very, secretive. And, there can be some very, very deep fear of betrayal. And especially with the moon conjunct Neptune, it can be very sensitive, right? So let yourself go through whatever you're going to go through, but just keep focusing in on your guidance. And we do have that support here, right, with all of this energy in Aries, with Venus moving closer and closer to Neptune. We're within 9 degrees, or I'm sorry, Jupiter. This conjunction here, well, it's Venus. Let's focus on that for a second. So Venus in the semi-square here to Uranus. Again, there's the action that needs to happen. We spoke about this already. But because Venus is going closer and closer, day by day to Jupiter, Jupiter's sitting here holding space, and it's the closeness we have here to Chiron it's so there's so much energy here being held for healing that place that you need to go to be whole inside. That everything I've been talking about, it's all an inside job. Now Venus is coming in and trying to help us unify something. Venus will always represent something that we really value. So if you can value yourself and then value the others in your life who are mirroring back to you how wonderful and beautiful and perfect and whatever, or flawed, who cares? You can be flawed. I mean, I don't care. I still love people that are flawed. Doesn't matter. But Venus likes to bring things together, likes to create harmony. And sometimes it's like comparing, and in Aries it can, we can go a little too fast sometimes, comparing ourselves or comparing others, and that's something that we have to be careful with. But the reason that Venus does that is because it's trying to get to a place where there is unity. So if there's a lack of unity, especially, from relationships in the past, there's going to be healing this month. There's going to be a lot of relationship healing or moving forward on your own, which is also healing because, at least both parties or all parties know where we stand, right? Venus also rules pleasure. So there might be new forms of pleasure. You might find new ways of having fun. There might be new types of foods or, things that you like to drink that you find new, there's there are so many new things out there all the time. It's unbelievable. So, yeah. Now, also, one of the things today is that, and you can see right here the square, the moon at 20 degrees. Whoops. And it was building. That was building during the night. But Venus square Mars. I'm sorry. Moon square Mars. So the moon square Mars will, and especially with this Pisces to Gemini, you'll be in a little bit of a conundrum because we're dealing with mutable energy on both sides, and mutable energy is, fixed energy sits, right? Cardinal energy moves, but the the signs that are mutable, they tend to, so Gemini, Sag, and Pisces, they tend to be there in order for us to assimilate issues or integrate. Right? It's like you're here and you're here and you're here and you're weighing all these different options, or you're bringing together pieces of information, and there might be some massive healing that happens with the moon conjunct Neptune. And maybe you wake up from a dream realizing what that conflict was, and now you do know how to move forward, but you're not there yet with the square. You're working in that tension field. Yeah, and then Mercury, you can see, is building to this, because we have 14 degrees Aquarius here, is building to the exact trine to Mars. And so there's more and more of the, information to get out of the box, information, and it could be news dumps, right, that bring in this new flow that help us move forward in a new way. So, maybe some grand jury trials get started, or maybe some indictments get released, which is, an indictment's just an accusation. You still have to go to, they still have to have the grand jury trials. But, it's nice to know they're headed in the right direction. Let's see. And Venus sextile Pluto is still there. Mercury semi-square Neptune, is that? Let's see. 14 to, oh goodness. Yeah, it is. It's Mercury semi-square Venus. Okay. Yeah, right. So with that, so the Saturn semi-square Chiron is still there, but the Mercury's semi-square to Venus here. Oops, I drew it a little too far. Maybe if I go this way. Mercury to Venus. That brings in that element of, now you know what you know about a relationship or a money issue or a work issue, anything that has to do with your self-worth and how you unite with others. In new ways, and in courageous ways with Aries. Now it requires action with that semi-square there. You know what you know, and now it's time to go, or stay, or work, or confront, or whatever it is. And of course, because Mercury is squaring Uranus, the issue is going to be freedom and going in the direction that's best for you. And then we can also see this excellent, so from Saturn, so 28 degrees Saturn sextile the North Node, and back over here to the South Node. And even though, oh wait, I'm sorry, 2, 6, 6, yeah, it's not Saturn, it's the Sun. So we have but 28 to 2, I mean, it's not exact, but it's still there. So again, with the Sun in Pisces, much more sensitivity and compassion and creativity and devotion to your spiritual path and the opportunity to move forward, and you're integrating, you're bringing with you all that wisdom from the past. So that's fantastic. And then Pluto sextile Venus, of course, is still there. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward to Wednesday. And again, you can see that the aspect of the architect from the sun, that's all still there. So it's a great day to keep working on that, and that will continue, of course, until the sun. We'll have it for a few days because of the degrees there. Now, notice that the nodes always go backwards, so notice that the nodes are now at 5 degrees instead of 6. So that's interesting. And then also, the moon in Aries here at 5 degrees is in an exact quincunx to the south node. So there's an adjustment needed on your intuitive levels. There's a moving forward intuitively, instinctually when it's in Aries. You don't know how you know, or you don't know why you're going in that direction, but you do it, and it turns out that the timing is right. But with the quincunx here, you might be coming from something from the past, and you're making an adjustment instinctively going in the right direction, especially with Jupiter and coming into play pretty soon, because you want to expand in some new realm, in some new area of your life. But with the quincunx here to the south node, you're wanting to expand because this isn't working anymore, right? You're needing to move forward. But it's because you know that what's been happening in the past can't keep going, and that you can't keep doing that anymore. Let's see, and in the background here we can still see Venus, in the semi-square of Mercury. So again, speaking and talking about relationships and money and all of those things, you're comparing what works and what doesn't. And again, Mercury squaring Uranus all week. It's all about freedom and getting yourself going in the right direction. And Mercury trining Mars, same thing. But you can see, and Venus is, the moon and Venus talking together. It's like hanging out with your best friend, and or maybe. It's hard to know. It might be, might actually be, let's do it this way, might actually be going for walks with your friend. It might be having some really deep conversations, because Scorpio can go very deep. Or it could be that you want to go really deep, but you're hanging out with somebody who isn't there yet, and there's a distraction, a little bit of a deflection or something, and you realize that you just can't go where you need to go with your friend at this point. Or maybe there's a speaking up with Mercury here squaring Uranus. Maybe there's a speaking up and saying, well, but what about, and you keep trying to go a little deeper with them, if you can. And if you can't, that's okay. They're just not there yet, and that's okay too. So, but there's so much movement with all this Aries energy. I mean, my goodness, look at that. It's Venus and the moon and Jupiter, Chiron and Eris. Woohoo. Wow. Okay, so the other aspects are the same. So let's go ahead and move to Thursday. Thursday, the moon is still in Aries, but it has crossed over Jupiter and probably received some healing. So remember, the moon will always help you connect the dots and intuit whatever you need to do to nurture yourself and nurture the other important people in your lives and nurture your life itself. And then it's right in between. It's getting ready to bump up against Eris, so there's more courage. There's been a journey of getting inside of what you really want to bring through, and maybe it's something just very simple as going out and walking every day because the weather is better, and you're feeling better. There's more vitality when we go through, when we have Aries energy, and like I was saying, instinctual movement is the best way I can describe Aries. and then being very present with the direction that you want to go. And having good directional Aries people are like, and the Aries energy is like those people that they might not know the name of the street, but they remember, something that was there, like a marker, and they know that that's the direction. And it can also be the intuitive, instinctual, where you don't know, but it's like, okay, no, I go right. I'm supposed to go right, not left. Something like that. Or straight ahead. Yeah. So, and you can see that Venus, on Thursday, we still have the Venus in conjunct quincunx to the south node. So we're still working something through from the past, or making adjustments to the past. And hopefully it's about healing your relationship with yourself, which plays out to healing relationships with life. Some new frontiers are being forged. That's all I can say. That I know for sure. Let's see. And the moon, we also have, I like the sextile here. So let's focus on the moon only for a moment. And notice how it sextiles to Mercury. And then it also sextiles to Mars. And Mercury is trining Mars. That's pretty cool. Right? And we still have the sun connecting to the south node. Again, there's just so much to do with healing the past. But these two sextiles here, with the moon at the focal point, is a very intuitive, we're having intuitive opportunities to digest information from the past and move forward. So I'm feeling like politically there's news dumps. There's more, I think, information about something that can empower people in better ways. We've lost that Venus sextile to Pluto, though, and that's okay. Notice that we don't have, when you see a little dot, there's no aspects to Pluto right there. No aspects to Saturn today either, except for, that's interesting because that shouldn't be that way. Those little dots shouldn't be there, because we still have the semi-square to Chiron. Saturn's semi-square Chiron. So again, the actions are still going to need to be taken in order to continually heal that deepest inner conflict, whatever it is for you. I would think it would have something to do with letting go of fears. Breaking out of those self-created prisons where we're afraid. And, I've been through that so many times. You get used to it. It's like, just kind of feel the fear and do it anyway. If it's going to better your life, I'm not talking about goading people to do silly things, but... And then we still have Venus semi-squaring Mercury. So again, back to the relational issues. But I love these opportunities here from the moon. So the instinctual courage that's going to come through to get you going in the direction you want to go, because you've been learning so much about that in the past. And now there's this nice easy flow with Mercury and Mars. So there can be tons of news dumps coming out. And in your personal life, things can finally just start fitting together, and you have the information you need, and you have the group of people that you need to hang out with. Aquarian energy is very focused. And then with the sun, notice how we have the sun here sextiling. We still have this aspect of the architect here from the past to the north node, the future. And so the sun is still shining the spotlight for another, probably even tomorrow to Friday, Thursday to Friday, shining that spotlight to help you create what it is that you're wanting to create, or to heal whatever you're needing to heal. Pisces sometimes can just be about dissolving a false belief from the past so that you can finally move forward into the future, into a whole new way. Okay, so that's it for Thursday. Friday, we still have, like I was saying, the aspect of the architect here with the sun, so everything I just said, but there's a double because it's not just a north node, now the moon's involved. So we're talking Taurus energy bringing through the need to feel secure, but maybe you're holding on to your faith, and you don't like being rushed and pushed, but you're also holding on to what will help you the most to stay safe and solid and secure, because most of all, that's what Taurus wants. So that you have that safety, and there's such wisdom in that, because if you don't have that stability and safety, you can't grow. It's like you can't grow if you don't have a solid foundation, a stable foundation to work from. So safety is always the most paramount thing, and maybe there's some healing from the past where you realize you weren't safe when you were a kid, or to the degree that you weren't really safe. Maybe your feelings weren't safe with your parents, or maybe there really was a lack of safety. But now as an adult, you've worked that through, and the moon is helping today. It'll help you do that even more. Now, there's also a little bit of trouble, or not also, there is a little bit of trouble with Pluto here, squaring the moon, right? Pluto in Capricorn wants to control, wants to be in control, wants to make sure that things don't change and they stay just exactly the way they want. We're talking two fixed signs here with Capricorn Capricorn is cardinal, but the Taurus energy is fixed, and then the opposition here to Scorpio is fixed. Like we have fixedness. That's not a word. Fixation? Well, maybe. I don't know. we have a couple of walls here. With Scorpio, it's like, nope, I'm not going until I'm safe. And Taurus is over here saying, I'm not so sure whether I'm safe. I don't know if I want to go deep with you, right? There's that balance that's always needing to be worked through. But with Pluto, we want to be careful of people trying to emotionally manipulate and control. There's that possibility. And on another level, the moon could be bringing through, because we have the sex scandals, money scandals within the polarity of, the North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio. That Taurus-Scorpio polarity can always be sex or money scandals. And all the, shades of all, what happens with those, right? We're talking human trafficking, money laundering, all of that is within this dynamic. And with Pluto at this 29th degree of Capricorn, that's what's on the table. That is what is up for seeing as time moves on. And even when Pluto pops into Aquarius for a little bit in March, it's not going to change much. It's just going to break things open. We're going to really see more and more. So, yeah. And it's going to, when Pluto gets into Aquarius, it's just for a couple of months, and then it goes retrograde at 0 degrees Aquarius, and, and then it goes back into Capricorn, I think until like July, end of July or something like that. But we don't have Pluto staying in Aquarius for good until, November, I think? Do I have that right? It might be December. I'll have to look that up for you guys again. But, yeah, I think it's November. I think it's like right before Thanksgiving that it goes into Aquarius to stay. But it won't be till 2024. It's not this year. It's not this Thanksgiving. It's the next. It's not till 2024. And then when it gets there, it'll stay for 20 years or so before it moves into Pisces. So we'll be partying down with Aquarian energy, which is about honoring, for one thing, it's all about science. And with all the Aquarian energy we have here with Saturn and Mercury coming together, there could be some major breakthroughs Well, but we've already had a lot, but it could be even more. You know, Uranus in Taurus is wanting, you know, those inventions for safety, right? Because Taurus is all about safety. And then, of course, like I said, all week long we have this, or maybe this might be the last day. Let's see. Oh, yeah, definitely, because Mercury's at 19, Uranus is at 15. So we're just about out of orb with that little tension field. So maybe there's some integration of all the news dumps by the end of the week. But anyway, back to, you know, for you in your personal life, there's a lot of breaking out of the box before, you know, before a new reality. It's all about breaking out of the box, actually. It's all about honoring the fact that you're very unique. There's only one of you, and we need all of us, right? When it comes to species on the planet and, you know, the environmental issues that we have going on, I hope that with Saturn in those later degrees of Aquarius, there's some healing there, and especially with Uranus in Taurus, there's some healing there. Or at least the stop of the extinction, I should say. It's terrible. It's very, very sad. Let's see. Venus still in that quincunx to the south node, so still all the relationship dynamics. Nothing's changed here really. This is a week-long thing, and even more because Venus will just continue to. You know, crossover at some point, crossover Jupiter. But, you know, Venus and Jupiter can be great for expanding ways of making money. It can be great for expanding relationships. And, you know, again, back to Venus always wants security and safety and unity and harmony, like an easier way to make money. So thinking smarter and working smarter rather than working harder is, you know, one of the hallmarks. And if you're a person that plays the lotto, Venus, Jupiter could bring it in. There's that possibility. I mean, you got to play to pay, or, you know, play to get paid, and somebody has to win. The odds are just like terrible, but people win. People do win. So Venus is still squaring Mercury, nothing's changed there. Chiron, or in the semi-square, I'm sorry. I'm looking at these little semi-squares here. So Chiron is still in the semi-square to Saturn. Yeah. So whatever foundational shifts we need to create, we need to take action in order to have it. Here's a new little semi-square here from the Moon to Mars. Or was it new? Did I have that yesterday? No, we didn't. It's new. So this morning early, there's some action. It's probably something like you wake up early, or first upon wakening, you realize, oh, shoot, I have to get going. Because maybe maybe things have been more dreamy, you know, with Uranus, or I'm sorry, the Sun, and especially Neptune and Pisces, we've been having that. And you've been focusing on dream work, but also with this all week long, you know, the trine over here to Mercury, to Mars, there's a lot of mental activity, and after a while, sometimes we just kind of shut down and we want to maybe just watch a good movie or something, right? So that could have been happening Thursday night, and then Friday you wake up and go, oh, shoot, I forgot about this I need to take care of. But it's okay. You have all day to do it, whatever it is. But action is needed here, and it's something to nurture and maybe protect. And you get going, and it's no big deal. It's no big deal. On the political level, though, it could be, because the Moon rules the public, it could be that something comes out and we realize, oh, action needs to be taken, and we're watching and waiting to see if they do. Hopefully it's not another dozen balloons that come, right? Or another half dozen, I should say. Like, that was crazy. That, by the way, would be a Saturn in Aquarius phenomenon, because Aquarius being an air sign, and then Mercury, coming out into the open. All right, so there could be more. Jeez, who would have thunk, right? So, okay, you can still see that we have the aspect of the architect here coming from the sun. So south node and north node. So again, the sun is shining the light to help us go in the direction we need to go and really, get that, just get it done. Let's see. Mercury is still trying Mars. That's the same. Mercury is much tighter, much closer to Saturn though. And Mercury is squaring the moon. So this is an interesting, and the moon and Uranus are really close together. Hopefully there's not an argument that happens. But then again, as long as we're kind, there's this thing called loving confrontation, where, you go to your loved one or your friend or whatever and you say, something's wrong and I don't know what it is, or whatever it is. If you know what it is, then you can explain it and keep everything off of blaming them, but just stay with yourself, Come from the place of I feel like rather than you make me feel like, right? Or this happened and I'm trying to understand why. So it triggers me in this way because of my past, and I know it's only me, but I just wanted to come clean and talk to you about it. Like that's a aspect of loving confrontation. So there could be something like that, because with Uranus and the moon, it could open up the relationship in a whole new way. And remember, with this stellium here in Aries, there's a possibility that we have new relationships, because Aries, I can't get this the lid off. There we go. With this stellium here in Aries, that could bring in new relationships that are healing, and especially helping you to heal the past and your deepest inner conflicts. And with the moon and Uranus, it could be something very exciting, even though it might be a little scary, with the Mercury square the moon. And then on another level politically, again, this could be major news dumps, because remember, Saturn always relates to government, the man, right? Always relates to foundations that are solid and created and we're living within. So that's very possible that, and Saturn is we still have that semi-square to Chiron. We're still trying to heal the place where, who knows how long that's going to take, man, where people are more important than profits, right? So, yeah. And then Mercury is now trining Mars, or has been trining Mars, I'm sorry. So there's more information just continually. Mars in Gemini is just information spin. It doesn't stop coming out. And remember, Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, but Mercury ruling Gemini, we've got a natural connection here and then a flow, just so much information. It's like, hold on to your hats this week. And the public wants the change. With Mercury conjunct Uranus, we want the change because we want to be safe, and we're tired of the lack of justice that we've been, that's the problem, is the government moves like a snail. It just moves so slow. And partly it's because, we're presumed innocent until proven guilty, but it's really hard to prove guilty, some of these guys. And then like Matt Gaetz, he goes, he's not held accountable, at least for that one situation. But obviously he and his family money they either bought off a judge or got the witnesses. Probably, I'm guessing that one was witness intimidation and paying off a judge or paying off some people and getting the charges dropped. because they didn't have anything, they didn't have credible witnesses to bring forward. And if you've been sex trafficked or human trafficked, you know, human slavery, you're afraid because you're living in survival. So you're not going to rock the boat just to get this one dirt bag, right? You're going to take care of yourself first, and that's the sad thing. But it's okay. Karma will get him. Oh, goodness. Do I want to end on that note? I don't know. I'm not seeing anything else other than Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn will be that fever pitch that's still, even though there's no aspects to it right now, it's still holding space in time for, you know, remember Capricorn has to do with, well, first of all, Pluto brings things up, you know, bubbles things up into the, where it's not hidden anymore. It can bury things, but not in a later degree. In a later degree, everything's up. We're seeing the guilty people, right? We know about the fake elector scheme. We know about all the scams and the big lie and all. We know it. It's just a matter of cleanup on aisle 45, which is going to take hopefully not 4 to 5 years, but it could be. But hey. Oh, look for the movies and the series. Neptune and Pisces is certainly helping, supporting that. And maybe something comes out, you know, with the sun in Pisces. It's possible that something comes out. If not being built right now, I'm sure they are. Maybe something does come out. So, yeah, I think I'm done. I might see something after I turn the camera off, but I think this video is long enough already. So anyway, big hugs to you guys. Hope you have the best week ever. Let me know how you're doing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.